from a brand new Oakland scarf right here. Check it out here, brand new for you.
All right, let's see here. 1, 2, Women and Children, Fair Warning, Diver Down, 1984. There's something missing. There's no live album. Why is there no live album to go with these 6 albums? There should be. I just have to vent a little bit about this for a second because there should be a live album that goes along with these. I mean, come on. We do have Right Here, Right Now, but that's the Sammy era, you know, which is great. It's fine. I like it. I love it. You know, I've had my moments with Right Here, Right Now when I'm in a Sammy mood, but to not have a live album that goes along with those first 6, that's just a shame. It should be there. And I know they were working on it at one point, but once Sammy got there, the whole thing was off. You know, you couldn't even mention that there was a Van Halen previous to Sammy until that kind of ran its course and Dave came back around. Now, the closest thing that we have to an official Van Halen bootleg, I think, are these 3 songs from Oakland. I know that every one of you that are watching this has watched that over and over, devoured those songs. I mean, I saw them on MTV the first time, whatever, 1982-ish, whenever MTV started, I kept seeing So This Is Love. I was like, whoa. You know they've got that whole concert, and they've got the source tapes to spruce it up and make it sound right. Why can't we get that whole show? Why can't we get, like, say, a whole show from 1984? They were clearly at the top of their game. Live, studio, every other which way you can imagine. And the set list on the 1984 tour was just banging. It had a little bit of everything. Even if you go back to a set list from Diver Down, I would take that. Sure, there's the bootlegs from Caracas, and of course there's the US Festival. They gotta have source tapes from those where they could put something out, but they haven't. Eventually, when Dave got back into the band, a couple years after that, they put out the Tokyo Dome live album, which is great. It sounds great, and it's got a great song selection. They're doing songs that they may not have even done on those tours, or would have done sporadically. You got Sinner Swing, and Hear About It Later, Women in Love. There's a whole bunch of the classic era Van Halen stuff that they cover at the Tokyo Dome. But it's not from the mania that we remember from the 80s. I mean, Dave is a little on the crooner side, you know? God bless Dave. God loves David Lee Roth, and so do I. He always puts on a great show, but he's kind of like, you know, he does that thing where he sings a little bit behind the line, like the line that he's singing is supposed to start, and he waits a second and then delivers it all a little extra faster. And I know that back in the 80s when he was singing, you know, it was a crapshoot. He might not even sing a whole verse of a song. But that was part of the appeal of it. So they probably have all these songs where they're missing this line, and Dave didn't sing it, or there's like a clam over here, because, you know, they're winging it a lot of times and flying by the seat of their pants. But that's all the cool stuff that you want to hear. It's live. It doesn't need to be perfect. My name's francapitanelli. If you're picking up what I'm throwing down, then go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Hit the notifications button. And if you want to leave a donation, you can do so in the description box below, or from thanks or super thanks. You know, definitely a killer thing would be a 1984 bootleg. Or check this out. Because like your average, you know, Van Halen's not a current band, right? They're not putting out albums now. And so they don't have to appeal to the kids these days. There's one thing that bothered me kind of about like some of the Led Zeppelin remastered live things. How the West Was Won is killer. The remaster of Song Remains the Same is killer, but I don't like the Song Remains the Same live album as much as I did the original live album, which was just the way it was. Once you go in and you start doing drum replacements or tuning stuff, you know, you miss the whole point. And the average kid that is just being turned on to Van Halen now, who's going to be buying their albums, you know, maybe they won't even buy the live album, but all of us would. There could be a box set with a little bit from each tour, kind of like, you know, there's like the Jimi Hendrix Stages box set, which is like a perfect example. Jimi Hendrix, he's got a new live album out every couple of years, if not more frequently than that. Because you never get tired of hearing what he did on, you know, any certain era of Hendrix, or on any particular night. He was in a bad mood this night. He wasn't into it. This night he was all jacked up. He was on all kinds of psychedelics at this show. He had it in his headband. Those are all the things that the deep Van Halen fans, they want to hear. They want to hear like, oh, that's the show that he missed the line, or he didn't sing it, or Eddie plays this variation on little guitars on this tour. But any Van Halen bootleg, as long as they didn't butcher it and do all this kind of sound replacement and make it sound really clean, which is, you know, that's kind of like my issue with Right Here, Right Now. It sounds very safe. You know, there's no reckless abandon, which is what we're used to with Van Halen, you know, especially back in the early days. They're the world's greatest party band, and they were partying while they were doing it, so it's going to sound like that. And that's probably the thing that they listened to back, you know, when I say they, it'd be Wolfie and Alex now. They'd probably hear it and be like, ugh, we sound fucked up. Yeah, we want to hear that. We want that stuff. So I was always hearing that there was a Van Halen live album in the works before Sammy got there. They were compiling stuff. So it had already been underway as far as whatever Guitar Player magazine interviews and stuff that I was reading had to say about it. The whole deal was off once Sammy joined. And then, you know, like the 5150 tour, that was just the 5150 album plus like 3 or 4 classic Van Halen songs. You got Jump, Panama, and You Really Got Me, or Ain't Talking About Love, which, you know, Sammy, he's a great singer. Sammy's a great singer, but, you know, he doesn't sing those songs right. And he's not going to, you know, because he's got his own resentment towards it. But basically the 5150 tour was that album, a few classic songs, and a few Sammy songs. Once you get to Right Here, Right Now live album, you've got songs from OU812, and from the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album. So, you know, you got great songs to choose from, but they're just like totally neglecting this old period. It's the elephant in the room. The Van Halen legacy is cemented. We are all, you know, we're into it. We love them. They can do no wrong, you know, basically. They don't need to curtail what they do to fit today's kids that are coming up just learning about them. It's already done. ZZ Top did that, where they did all the drum replacements, and it was like, oh my God, they just ruined all these great albums. And luckily they figured it out and went back and put it all back together the right way with the right drum sounds. But that's what my fear is, that if they did a live album now, that it would kind of like go through the computer a little too much when they've already got it there. I mean, it's just like a perfect painting, has some chaos in it, but it's rock and roll. Throw some chaos at it. It's not gonna be a waste, and it's not gonna mar the legacy. It's just gonna be one more thing that all the diehard Van Halen fans have to devour and to put into their rotation for Van Halen stuff. So let's figure it out. I mean, who's got the insight on the Van Halen album, live album that was supposed to come out. I know you all are filled with tons of info. Throw up a comment. Let us know what happened. Was that project just shelved in 1986 or whatever? Because now would be the time to bring that back and celebrate that time. And celebrate all the eras of Van Halen. I mean, we've got a Sammy live album and we've got a Dave live album, but it's from a different period. They could have put out the live album back then and still put out Tokyo Dome. That's the way I see it. My name's francapitanelli, totally into the sound. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, or if you want to support the channel, you can follow the link below in the description, or hit the thanks button. All is very much appreciated. And we'll see you next time.